You could create a coaster if you just do kind of the small size, and then if you do a bit bigger, it could be a nice lovey. And then a bit bigger than that, I found it would be really nice for like a stroller baby blanket. And then if you go up from that size, you can make a cat bed. It's endless possibilities. And you could create round 1 of our continuous granny stitch flower. We'll begin with an adjustable ring or magic circle. To do this, you'll wrap the yarn around your finger twice, pull the first bar over the second bar back over the first, and then you'll tighten it off your finger. You'll grab your crochet hook and you'll place it into the center of your ring. And then you're going to yarn over and we're going to chain 3. And this will count as our first double crochet for the round. Excellent. And now you're going to yarn over again and place your hook into the center there, yarn over 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2, and that will be our double crochet. We're going to continue with 6 more for a total of 8 when you include that first chain 3 from the beginning. So at the end of round 1, we want 8 stitches total. Wonderful. Now to close round 1, we're going to place a slip stitch into the top of our previous chain 3. So that's 1, 2, 3. So we'll place our hook in there, yarn over and pull through all the loops, and that will be our slip stitch to close the round. And now to start round 2, we're going to chain 2, which will count as a double crochet. So now we're going to yarn over and place another double crochet into the bottom of that same chain, or the same stitch as our chain 2, which will count as an increase. And then you're going to place 2 double crochet in every stitch the entire way around for a total of 16 stitches by the end of round 2. And pull through 2, excellent, yarn over, and I'll let you do that. I'll meet you at the end. Now to close round 2, we're going to place a slip stitch into the top of the previous chain 2. And we'll pull through all of our loops. And now we're going to chain 2 again, which will count as 1 double crochet. And then you're going to place 2 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 in the following, and that's going to be your increase pattern this entire way around for a total of 24 stitches by the end of round 3. And round 3 will close with a slip stitch. Awesome. Now we've completed the center of our flower. We're going to start adding the petals. So before we work our slip stitch to close round 3, this is where you have the opportunity to add a new color if you'd like. All right, so we'll add our new color and we're going to work it as the slip stitch to close round 3. And we'll weave your new color through. And then I like to pull the tails of the previous round up and over to the front so that they get locked in when we work our chain 1. So we'll pull the new color all the way through as our slip stitch. And now we'll chain 1 to begin round 4 of our continuous granny stitch flower. All right, now we're ready to start the flower petals for our continuous granny stitch flower. You have your chain 1. Now we're going to single crochet into the next stitch. All right, and now we're going to place 5 double crochet into the following stitch, and that will be a 5 double crochet shell. So that's going to create kind of like a nice little rounded out curve for our flower petal. And each flower petal is going to be done the same way for this beginning as we get it set up so that we can do the granny stitch. All right, so now let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great job. And now we're going to work a slip stitch into the next stitch to close our flower petal. Slip stitch, and then we do a chain 1. Excellent. And now we're going to work the second one. So we start with a single crochet, yarn over, and then we work 5 double crochet into the following stitch. You're doing great. And now we'll work a slip stitch to close, and we'll continue that the entire way around. If you want to adjust this pattern and make the size of your circle bigger, it's worked for multiples of 8, and then you'll just work the same flower petals around in order to start that foundation for the granny stitch flower. And you can mix and match all the colors you'd like. It's so fun. It's endless opportunities. I love it. 4, 5, and now we're going to slip stitch closed. Excellent, and we'll work a chain 1. Right, now we're reaching the end of round 4. We'll just finish off this flower petal here. And if you have any questions, be sure to let me know. 3, 4, 5, excellent. And now we're going to place a slip stitch. 1, and then we're going to work a slip stitch into our first flower petal to get back to the beginning. And when you work that slip stitch, if you want to change colors, this is your opportunity. You're going to put your new color on, pull the tails from your old color up to the front, and then you'll slip stitch it through and then lock it in with a chain 1 that gets us up to the next round. So we'll begin round 5. All right, let's start round 5. Now that we have our chain 1, we're going to be placing a slip stitch into the top of the single crochet of our first petal. Work a slip stitch there, and then we're going to chain 1. We always start with our chain 1. And now into the first stitch of that double crochet shell, you're going to work single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, and a chain 1. And this creates our chain space for the granny stitch. Excellent. And then now you're going to yarn over and place 3 double crochet into the next stitch. It's a 3 double crochet cluster, and then you're going to chain 1. And that is called the granny stitch. So the granny stitch is the 3 double crochet clustered together, and then the chain 1s going into and out of the stitch. Excellent, so we'll chain 1, and now we're going to do that 2 more times. You're doing great. Good stuff. And it can get a little tight in the corners there, but this is the only round that's kind of unique. Like these flower petals are unique, and then once you start doing the granny stitch, it really goes really quickly. All right, so we've got our chain 1. So now in the space that we had worked our previous slip stitch, we are going to do the single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1 again. Can be a little tight. Chain 1. And then we're going to slip stitch around the slip stitch and the single crochet of our next petal to get to the top, into the top of the stitch of the single crochet for the next petal. Exactly. And then every flower petal is going to be the same. So now that you've done your slip stitch, you chain 1, and then in the top of that first 5 DC cluster stitch, you're going to work your single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1. And then now you're going to work 3 granny stitches. So that's 3 double crochet in the stitch and then a chain 1 towards your next stitch. And then you continue that the entire way around. Awesome! You did it! You set up the foundation for our continuous granny stitch flower, and now at round 6 you're going to learn like the rest of the pattern. So this is what you're going to do for the rest of the pattern. So we're going to slip stitch into the first petal again. We're going to add a new color. I like to add this purple. I love the colorway for this. This turned out so pretty. I love it. I'd love to see yours. If you make it, please let me know. All right, so we work that slip stitch, and then we're going to chain 1. So we get to our level for round 6. All right, so for round 6, we're going to be working into the chain spaces. So you're going to place your single crochet into the chain space, and you work single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1. And then you're going to yarn over and place your granny stitch into the nearest space right before your granny stitches of the round previously. So that way you're always adding granny stitches to the flower petal, because you're going to be adding them before where they started on the round previously. That way it keeps expanding. And now you're only going to be placing your granny stitches into those spaces, chain spaces in between, and work your chain 1s as you go. And then chain 1 in between your granny stitches. Yarn up. Good. 2 and 3. And then you're going to chain 1. All right, and then one more on the other side of the granny. So on the other side of the granny stitches from the time below previously. So that way you're always adding more, or right before your single crochet space. However you want to think of it. You do it right before and after the single crochet spaces. So that way you're always adding one more. And then in the single crochet space, you're going to do single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, chain 1, and then you're going to work your slip stitch. You go in through the first space, and you're always going around the slip stitch previously. And then you go over to the next flower petal. You're slip stitching around, and then you work a chain 1 to start your next flower petal. Excellent. And now we're going to do our single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1 into that space, always in the single crochet chain space. And that's our increase. And then you yarn over and work your granny stitch, so 3 double crochet and a chain 1 into the space right after the single crochet increase and before the granny stitches of the round below. And then you yarn over and go into the next space, and then keep going into the spaces, and that way every round adds more granny stitches to your flower petal. And then the slip stitches keep it closed, that way it creates that flower petal shape. And then you just continue that awesome, and you just continue the entire way around. So we'll continue practicing this together for a little bit. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I found that this pattern worked really well you could create a coaster if you just do kind of the small size, and then if you do a bit bigger, it could be a nice lovey. And then a bit bigger than that, I found it would be really nice for like a stroller baby blanket. And then if you go up from that size, you can make a cat bed. It's endless possibilities, endless. I have this picture of little nieces out in the park on their flower baby blankets doing teddy bear picnics. this pattern is really great for a lovey. Look, this is the flower, and then boop. I'm trying to decide which animal it should be. So let me know if you have a suggestion in the comments. So cute.